From DS Media Studios in Tema, Ghana, this is Two Pesewas. Two Pesewas is a weekly podcast where we cover a range of topics, from buzzing media headlines to music to highlights from the week. Each episode is co-hosted by myself, Peaches, and Eddie. Welcome to episode 4. Thank you again for joining us. It's, as always, Peaches and...
Eddie now.
Yes. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, has been having a wonderful week thus far, etc., etc. And without too much ado, we are heading right into our first segment, In the News.
In the News. Okay, so here I go.
All right.
So my In the News today is the topic on Libya, Africans being sold into slavery, so to speak. In the midst of all these discussions, I feel like there's another angle that we need to look at. People talk about, this whole slavery thing, it's wrong, people are being inhumane. But I think we need to look at another angle. But first of all, I just want to say that it's really not a secret that there's this system called the kafala system. And it's a migrant labor sponsorship program for countries like Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Iraq. So basically, if I'm a Kuwaiti, I can sponsor somebody in the domestic, somebody for domestic purposes or construction purposes. I sponsor them, they live with me, I have their passports, and then they come work. I think it's no secret that we've heard all these horror stories about people being sexually abused in Kuwait.
And Saudi Arabia.
Exactly,
and so
they can't get away because their passports are with the employer, so to speak. So that's that. All these people are subject to inhumane practices and all that stuff. Now, I'm just going to put it out there. I feel like the life of a black person is still inferior to...
Or considered inferior.
Considered inferior to a Caucasian, to an Arab person, and even to an African person who's a bit sort of lighter, the northern Africans. But then back to the issue. It's easy for folks to say that, okay, they deserve what they got. What were they looking for there? It's really their own fault. They should have stayed in Ghana to go hustle, But I'm saying that we should look at it in another way. People are desperate. The fact is that people are desperate. People are not going out there because they want to. People are not leaving their wives and newborns because they feel like, oh yeah, you know what, this is okay. I just need to go make a little trip through the desert on my way to Libya and then on to Europe. I just feel like people are hopeless. They're totally desperate. They're looking for something better. If you're not saying anything, you're just looking at me like, what's she on about?
No, because I'm trying to figure out whether I should say what I want to say and get myself in serious trouble or not. Okay, so obviously everything you said applies, right? But I'm going to, and don't come for me, don't tell me that I'm elitist or whatever, because I've been poor AF, and technically speaking, I'm probably poor AF now, okay? But I feel like there's this... I don't know what to call it, but I'm going to give it a name, the poverty entitlement. Okay. There's this assumption, and this is like everywhere, whether in Ghana or wherever it is, that being poor gives you the right to do certain things. Right. So if it's Ghana, even though they say no hawkers on the road, you've told yourself that you're poor. Therefore, it entitles you
to do that, even though you're
not. Stand in between traffic, maybe get knocked down, and then you said, you people in your cars come and kill us because we're poor. Things like that, right? Now, the other thing I wanted to say, obviously, again, it goes without saying that obviously it's disgusting to... what I should say, take advantage of somebody's desperation in that manner. But I want to say, like, we like to do performative outrage, okay? Even in Ghana here, all those Fulani children or Chadian kids running around, people can't stand them. And how many of them are there? There's a such a handful. But people complain about them, even in Ghana, that they're on the streets.
There are too many.
When we had a huge influx of Liberian refugees, to this day, when somebody says they're Liberian, you should hear what people have to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I understand. Yeah.
So, so now we come to Libya, and for probably the last 20 years, this is not a new issue.
Exactly.
For the last 20 years, every day, 1,000 or something illegal, because they're illegal. It's not like they applied for they just walk through the desert and appear in your country in the hundreds and thousands.
Yeah.
Nobody, I don't think there is anybody alive anywhere who is ever going to, I mean, as someone who said, people tire of migrants very quickly, especially if it's the type that you're unskilled,
illegal,
illegal there. Even if you're illegal and you're coming to work in a law firm, nobody will bother you. You know, you're illegal, unskilled, and quote unquote a public nuisance in a way, or whatever it is,
because you become a burden on the people of that country.
I saw some people saying, why don't you just send us back then?
And I have a problem with that.
Do you know it costs money to deport people?
That's the thing, because at the end of the day, the Ghanaian government has to use money, taxpayers' money, to bring you people back.
If you're saying Libyans should just deport you, who's playing? Are they? It's costing money. So at the end of the day, and this was all. It's been happening, and it just so happens that at this point in time, there's a huge power void that was created when they got rid of I just want to note here, the fact that a power void was created doesn't mean they should have left Gaddafi there. I don't know what kind of argument that is. The point is, he was so tyrannical that nobody was ever able to cultivate any kind of leadership system in there except for him, and that is why nobody could stand up after they got rid of him. Now, I mean, whatever. People are starting to romanticize dictators out here, and I won't stand for it, but whatever. Yes, he did some great things. Anyway, but moving on. The point is now, so there was a power void created, and in addition to that, we had armed militias already walking around. And so there is now the whole thing is chaos.
Right.
And all these stop slavery hashtags, I mean, who are you actually directing those at? Because the whole reason that this is happening in such a blatant and horrible and acute manner now is because there is no Libyan government to speak of.
That's the thing, and people are taking advantage of the
situation
and doing whatever they want to.
Where do your appeals are actually not going anywhere except on Facebook and Twitter and all that, and you're doing your poverty porn performances and whatever. Okay, let me not be cynical. I think people really mean well, but honestly, there is no Libyan president or government who is going to go. There is nothing like that. So I'm really not sure how this is going to go down. But I mean, it's a complicated issue. It's not just a matter of these people are evil, and so no, they're taking advantage of a situation. Yeah. And that is something that is a universal thing. And I'm not even sure it's necessarily a color issue even. Because in England, the whole Brexit or whatever was almost exclusively about a disdain and hatred for Polish people who were in the country. Okay. And what are Polish if not blonde and blue-eyed and whatever and white as hell?
But then the thing, I don't think they're regarded on the same.
No, they don't enjoy white privilege.
Exactly.
They don't actually. And yes, Ghanaians, not every white person is white. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know. People
unlike Ghana here, where Chinese, Indian, everybody that's no. You can, literally, if you're from Slovakia or whatever, you don't get white privilege. If you're called ethnic European, you're from Albania or something,
Georgia, all those places,
girl, you don't get white privileges, but they are white. And even within Western Europe, there are different kinds of white and not all white. So, like, I don't know. It's just a matter of people don't like other people coming into their country. They really don't. Yeah. And if you're like, in this case, you have a history, a background of slave trade to begin with. Northern Arabs were known to trade in slave.
Yes.
It's a regular day for them, to be honest. So, I mean, yes, you can say Libyans are evil and stop the slave trade hashtag, wherever that you think that is going. or we really need to look at why thousands of people would walk through the desert, leaving their own homes and this and that, and risk. Not only that, when they get to Libya, that's not even the end of it. They're now going to sit on some rickety boat and try to get to Italy and climb some huge wall, and then, I mean.
Yeah, and that's the next point I was going to make. Like, despite all these things, you've got to ask yourself, what is making people like leave Ghana and then just go there? People are desperate. People have thought that the situation here for them is hopeless. So they have to do whatever they can, illegal or not, to get away. And then that's it.
Because I read one account where I think this was a lady, right. She said she saved $8,000 in order to pay for, I'm like, if you have $8,000, start a business where you see, but
that's the thing. She feels like that $8,000 will not get her anywhere if she starts a business. She feels like if she leaves the country, goes to Libya, gets to Italy, she's going to make way more money than she puts in Ghana or wherever she came from.
And that should not be the case.
It shouldn't be. But people have just given up, I think.
Our own systems have let us down. That's primarily. Your first footstep out of your country is a failure of your system.
That is exactly what I thought. Like, at the end of the day, it's got to do with the country that you're in. The people have a problem with it, which is why they're leaving. Otherwise, they wouldn't leave.
And the other thing I was even saying is that, they had Samuel Eto'o rented a...
I heard that was wrong. That was not true.
Really?
Yes, I hear that was totally not. Apparently, he never sent any planes anywhere. Yeah, just fake news.
Fake. Shout outs to Trump.
Oh, God, hell no! Don't shout out to him.
Yeah, God.
Crazy man.
Oh, jeez, let's not even. But I was even if that were the case, I'm like, okay, what is the market price for a ticket from Cameroon to Libya? Probably $1,000.
Yeah, which is too expensive.
That we'll not even get into how the airline industry is tricking us in the eye.
Oh my God.
So I'm thinking, okay, what if there were some kind of system where you could connect people to microloans? That $1,000 per person that it costs to go get them could have changed something. You could start a little farm for $1,000. Yes. You could buy ginseng and go and sell it, trade it, or anything you want. Actually, $1,000 could have done something. Buy clothes and come and sell them or something. There's money. There's so much money in our African countries. So much. We're not poor. We've never been poor.
It's desperation. Some people go steal. Some people go peddle drugs. Some people go work and get underpaid. And some people make that long, treacherous trek to Libya. And it's a shame. It's just a shame. And then you know what? Our voices have gotten louder, but the audience that is intended for is increasingly deaf. It's just a huge problem.
I bet you the Chadian president and his family are fine. They're chilling there. They don't have issues. I don't recall having heard any Chadian president coming out and saying anything about this slavery issue. Maybe they have, but I haven't heard it.
I haven't heard it either.
Because he's like, Charlie, media, my dark like.
Yeah, so that's my little bit. I just feel like, all the discussions going on, we really need to take a look at what is making people leave countries and address those issues as well.
Yeah, I feel it's a bit simplistic to make it a battle of good versus evil.
Yes, it's not that easy.
There are levels to this. Yeah. I mean,
so.
But just for, Libya, come on, Libyan militia, come on, dude. Like, what are you
2017, like, really?
Just really, like the guy said, just send them back then. Just push them out. That one they'll say is humanitarian crisis too. You're sending them back in the desert. But like,
people are always going to have something to talk about. You've got to do something.
Anyways.
So, okay.
Thank you for being. I was avoiding that issue because I had thoughts.
I just had to. Yeah.
Okay, so my in the news is more local.
Yes.
But it's going to involve some more complaining, as always. So this past week, Ashesi University students had something they called Run for the Road.
Okay.
So it was like, I guess it was a marathon or something, but it was in order to raise awareness about the conditions of let me see. Kwabenya Kitasi Brekusu Road.
Oh, that horrible road? Is it the
you know this road?
I've been hearing on City FM. They've been complaining about that road for so long. Yeah.
So it serves a lot of communities, about 5 communities, and it's also the only means of getting to Ashesi University.
Yes, that's the one.
And the road is not even a road. I don't even know what we're calling it. Yes, it's the water has washed a ditch inside the side of a hill, and they're calling that a road, and people have to use that day in, day out. So the Ashesi students got together and were creating awareness and appealing to government to do something, as they had apparently promised to do for many a year. So then what really stood out to me was that the responses from the general public, as usual, were like along the lines of, all you rich kids there, if you want a road, why don't you build it yourselves? Or why don't you guys get... So I'm just like... And then this notion has come up before. I've literally heard a number of people saying that Ghanaians, and you can replace Ghanaians with literally any African country and it will still apply. Ghanaians depend on government too much. And
government is supposed to do certain basic things. Don't come and tell me depend on. What do they do for us?
Now, this was, mind you, this was during the time when we had an electricity crisis. So people were literally generating their own power using generators, solar, whatever the case is. The water was there's some places in Accra that have not had running water ever.
They have to buy water.
Some truck has come and delivered it, or you have to have a well. You drill a well in your house, whatever. So you provide your own electricity. You provide your own water. Okay. If you want if you want a light pole outside your house, and I know this one because of personal experience, because my dad had to, when we built, there was no light. You go to ECG, they'll tell you, go and buy your own electricity pole. Can you imagine? The pole for the light, street light. Go and buy the street light. Put all those things up. When you're done, they will now just come and stretch the electricity cord from yay to yay
it's
for
ridiculous.
You. And you pay them for that service as well. So I'm like, where is this over-dependence on government that people are talking about? They literally don't do anything.
They don't do anything. So where are all the street lights? Where are they?
And then, not to mention, there's no sewage system. So you have to dig your own cistern in your home. I mean, Tema, we're lucky. Shout out to TM. Hello. We actually have a sewage system. I mean, I think half the city, actually. Let's not get carried away.
I know.
Not everybody. But otherwise, you have to dig some thingy in your backyard there. Get some truck to come every couple of months, come and pump out your raw waste. Okay.
And the thing is, as soon as government does that, they expect some sort of huge praise that, we've done your road, so now, you need to worship us. Which is the basic thing that they're supposed to do.
So I'm like, okay, we're sitting here providing our own water, electricity, lights, and you have the gall to open your mouth and say that we're over dependent on government, you want it, just do it yourself. What are we paying taxes for? All that VAT and property tax
going
and ground
into people's
rent
pockets. They're not doing anything with it. When I don't see street lights, for me, that's just a sign that our money is being mismanaged. How don't we have street lights on the road? Like, how?
Fire service. If your house burns down, you have to go in with your bucket of water, call your area boys, come and help you. So, I mean, the police, if you want police to come, you have to go in your car to pick them up yourself.
The By the time they get there, it's too late.
Or you call and they'll say, Pacho Kona Dodge. I don't want to ever hear anyone fix their mouth to say that Ghanaians are over-reliant on government. Excuse me.
Government is not doing enough.
Government hasn't done anywhere near enough. And if they've managed to convince you that the little they do is too much, you've been brainwashed. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's not the responsibility. Ashesi students can be millionaires. It's not their responsibility
to
build a main road. Are you kidding me?
This thing should have been done long ago.
I'm so surprised sometimes. I'm just like, what? And now it became this rich versus how if you're rich you shouldn't. I'm like, excuse me.
How? Doesn't everybody deserve a good road? What's it got to do with rich or poor people?
If they're rich, that means they're already paying a disproportionate amount of taxes. So they've already done their bit. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's not on.
Anyways, that was my in the news.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. I've heard about that road. I've heard it's a really, really, really bad road. It's totally. usable. So there.
All right.
So, song of the week.
Yes.
So today we're talking about Ebo Taylor. Have you heard Ebo Taylor?
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay, good. That's good then. I love
our
Ebo
legends
Taylor.
right here.
Yeah. I think Ebo Taylor is a legend. He's like a high life king. I think I first heard about him, 4 or 5 years ago. And I listened to the album and was just like, oh my God, this is so brilliant. All the arrangements, all this high life.
I love traditional high life.
Yeah, me too.
Classic high life.
Oh my God. So good. So I said, today I'm going to talk about Ebo Taylor. And the song that I'm talking about is called Week.Mizin. I think that's name for Fanti. And to ensure that I don't come on here and start lying to you people because I don't speak Fanti, I went and found out, shout out to Taylor, that Week.Mizin, the song, the chorus in the song means, if you won't praise me, don't talk about me or something like that. So that's a beautiful one. If you have never heard of Ebo Taylor and you're a Ghanaian, shame on you. If you're a musician and you've never heard of Ebo Taylor, shame on you too. So go listen to Ebo Taylor. The album is Love and Death. I think he's got a couple of other albums out. And the song that I like I said, is called Week.Mizin. So go listen to it. He's brilliant. He's just awesome.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so I have 2 quick songs here. The first one, these are both like arguably Nigerian tracks, but don't worry. One is called, so the first one, Mr. Eazi has a new song out.
Oh, he does?
He does, and it's called Pour Me Water.
Okay.
Now, I know a lot of people say that Mr. Eazi, all his songs sound the same, but I'm not like, you know what? If the formula ain't broke. So this is like a quintessentially Easy type track, but I just love it. Okay, but I was thinking the other day, I was like, yeah, Mr. Eazi thinks he's slick. He has a song called Bankulais.
Yeah.
He has a song called Tilapia.
Oh, really?
He has a song called Shito. Yeah. And now this is Pour Me Water. So if you hear a song called Ice Cream or Aluguntugui or something,
I know, right?
You know that the meal is complete.
Exactly.
Dessert is the only thing that's missing. So anyway, Mr. Eazi, Pour Me Water, and it's produced by E. Kelly. Now, I first heard about E. Kelly because he used to work with Young L back in the day, like all his like old school hits and stuff. And clearly other people noticed as well. So now he's, producing for, really, really big artists like Mr. Eazi. He's also dope. And yeah, the next song is called Tattoo, and it's by this artist called Soft.
Soft.
Yes, and then this is one of those songs that I discovered on Instagram of all places, just randomly, because I'd never heard of this guy before. I think he's a new artist as well. Right. And his song is, you can tell he's actually heavily inspired by Mr. Eazi and that Jules sound as well.
Okay, right.
So both these tracks are very complementary in that they create a just really dope, chill, mid-tempo vibe that I love. So check those 2 out.
Right.
Okay.
That's it. Oh,
that's
great.
it. It's short and sweet.
Yeah, that was really good. I'll definitely go check these 2 out. Right. So what the F? Today in What the F, I think some Ghanaians are going to come for me.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I need to put out a disclaimer.
We do every day.
I know, because you know how people are these days. They are. To be a bit more, So I'm just saying that my disclaimer is that I love all my Ghanaians. I love all of you, regardless of whatever tribe you're from. But I get irritated when I get a call from an Uber driver, when I walk into a store, if I walk into a hotel.
I know where this is going.
And you start speaking Tree to me. Stop it. You cannot assume that I can speak Tree just because I'm Ghanaian. It doesn't work that way. And besides, we're in Accra. If we're in Accra, speak Ga to me. If you speak Ga to me and I can't answer, you're at liberty to insult me. But I just, for me, it's just a bit concerning that we don't have, Tree is not an official language just yet. So if you see me as a Ghanaian, don't assume that I can speak Tree. It's the same way when I go to Kumasi, I don't expect anyone to be speaking ever or down with me. By the way, anytime I go to Kumasi, my heart just starts beating faster because I'm like, oh God, my tree is about to be tested on this higher level.
I did hear there's like a pretty prominent Ever squad in Kumasi.
Oh, really? Okay, my cousin actually lives there.
They have I don't remember what it was, but they have like a community of...
Yeah, So I'm always on edge, like, oh God,
and that's
my
not
higher
just regular Accra
I know
tree
this.
either.
I call it higher level tree that's about to be tested. And like I said, I wish I could speak a lot of languages, but don't assume that I can speak tree just because I'm Ghanaian. And then even like a few months ago, I went to my mom's hometown, which is Ada. I'm half Ada, half Evan. So I went to my mom's hometown. I stopped by, I think it was a mango seller, watermelon seller. I wanted to buy some mangoes. And then she starts speaking tree to me, and I'm like, what's your problem? I've come to my hometown. You see me, and you start speaking tree to me. And she's like, oh, I thought you were from the city. And I said, like, no, but you can't do that. Why don't you try speaking Adam with me first before, And another thing, a Cameroonian friend of mine, she came to Ghana. I think she went to a store or hotel or something. And immediately, she complained to me bitterly. Immediately, the person started speaking tree to her. And then she came to ask me that, what's wrong with you Ghanaians? Why do you just see somebody and they just start speaking tree with the person? You don't even know whether the person is a visitor or not. So all I'm saying is that let's be a bit mindful. Not all of us. I mean, I can speak tree. Like I try. My tree has definitely gotten better over the years. Let's not just assume that everybody can speak tree. And you Uber drivers, as soon as I request a ride, please don't answer and say, "Oh, good morning, mommy. Uber driver near." They don't. That's even another story. Uber drivers with their GPS is not working. Yeah. So all I'm saying is that really don't assume that all of us can speak tree. It's not fair. And just be a bit mindful of that. Yeah.
So what I actually want to add to that, and I actually did this in school recently.
Okay.
We were talking about national identity, right? And so the discourse became about how, and I can't remember the technical term because I'm really not a serious student. But
wow, come on.
Basically, it's about cultural foregrounding and how in national discourse and national identity, somehow in countries where there are multiple cultures, there's a trend where one culture becomes synonymous with national identity of the entire country.
Absolutely.
So when you think of Ghana, people will say Kente.
Yes, Ashanti.
Ashanti culture has very much been foregrounded as synonymous with national culture.
Absolutely, I understand.
And somehow we haven't been very vocal about it. I guess non-Akans or non-Ashantis in general. Now, I understand that, they are the most populous, like Akans are the largest, tribal group, if you will.
Yeah.
But I do think we actually need to be more mindful of the fact that, being Ghanaian does not automatically map onto being Akan.
Exactly.
And then it comes out in examples like you've given, that everybody assumes that you speak Tree because, like they don't even, that's the first thing. Or even if you meet a Ghanaian abroad, the first thing will be, hey, to say.
Exactly.
As though that is the only way. And, at least you're in the South. We pretend like Northerners are not even...
No, it's not right.
I mean, honestly, if anyone has been... The entire Northern region...
It's so slighted.
They pretend, unless... It's only when there's some cultural display and the Adowa dances, it's just... So you go and get the... Other than that... Then they go around saying Ghana is a Christian nation on top, though the entire Muslim community.
It's not fair.
It really isn't right, and it happens a lot, and it's something that, again, the government actually needs to make an effort to be more inclusive, generally speaking, or change that mindset. But it happens in Nigeria too, as well.
It does, yeah.
Even more acutely, but at least in Nigeria, it's not one identity; it's three.
Okay.
But in Nigeria, you're only either Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa. And if we're talking about multicultural countries, we think we have 40 dialects. I think they have 200 or something.
Just look at that. Yeah.
All those people get absorbed into, okay, but are you Igbo or no?
Exactly.
I mean,
it's not fair.
And it really isn't. Fair. And we're eroding our own rich cultural tapestry in doing so.
It shouldn't be so.
That everybody must either speak Tree or whatever.
So let's be mindful
Tree,
of that.
So thank you for bringing that up.
That's okay. Let's be mindful of that.
So, my what the F today
is
about... So, I was minding my business on Facebook. Actually, I wasn't minding my business.
Do I know where you're going?
Do you? No, I
Okay.
did talk about this once on a podcast that never made it to air. But this was some time ago. And one of the Facebook, I guess, known, I don't know what to call them, personalities or whatever it is, put up a picture of ladies' anklets and said, when you see these, what comes to mind? Be honest. And I was just like, what does this mean? And there were more than 100 comments. So I was just like, okay, clearly it means something.
Right.
So I took myself and went to click. So I guess I had missed this one. I didn't know wearing anklets was associated with, and I'll go down the list here. Ashao, shashi, prostitutes, loose women, lesbians, on and on and on.
So it's so ignorant.
I'm like, where did I didn't know. And then somebody was like, I would never marry a woman who wore anklets.
Can you imagine?
I wouldn't allow my sister to wear anklets.
Like, why? Where did this come from?
So people, mostly women, of course, came in the comment like, where did you get this from? Like, who told you that? And I was like, I don't know. I always grew up just knowing that it's only prostitutes that wear anklets. And then somebody came and said he thought so until one day his sister started wearing one. So he's like, well, my sister is not a prostitute.
Imagine. That's what it took, huh?
Right? And then somebody too said she saw Dr. Mary Grant. I was like, leave Dr. Mary Grant
out of this. Come on.
She saw Dr. Mary Grant, who, for anyone who doesn't know, she was a former Minister of Education for a long time. Saw poor Dr. Mary Grant of blessed memory wearing an anklet on TV, and she's like, oh, but I highly respect her, so maybe it's not so bad. I'm like, are you mad?
It's crazy. I know my mom used to wear an anklet as well, and I remember some of her relatives used to say, oh,
it's not good.
But yes, not good. Exactly.
But they can't tell you why.
Said, no, she shouldn't, a grown woman like her, she shouldn't be wearing an anklet. I didn't know that it had this connotation of Ashawoism.
I'm like, and once again, I mean, we have so many of these things in this part of the world where some random item becomes associated with loose behavior.
Yes, it's like anything which is a bit cultural becomes like something evil. It's not pure. It's not.
Because somebody also came and said it's fetish. I'm like, look, I'm tired now. Like, I'm just exhausted.
I'm sure they're going to start saying the same thing about waist beads and all sorts of things.
Right? Just give it some time.
Yeah,
you know?
it's unfortunate.
So somebody actually raised a very good example. He said that Ghanaians or Africans in general don't like, what were his exact words? I don't remember. But conceptual modernization.
Okay.
So basically it's like, for example, people you wear your cloth and you tie it.
Yes.
And that's fine. Right. But if you wore a backless sundress,
I know that's
people
will
come and say you are overexposed in a shower. But it's the exact same thing. The exact amount of flesh.
Brainwashing. You can just go. That's just brainwashing.
So you could wear beads back in the day, but let it be a chain anklet, and that's a prostitute.
It's like,
what is the logic? There is none. Can we please start being a bit reflective, self-analytical before you come out? And it's always calling a woman a whore or whatever.
I know that's the easy, that's the easy option. Yeah, the easy option to like.
A woman does something you don't like, therefore a shower. That's the formula. Easy. Prostitutes. Ghanaians love that. Everybody's a prostitute.
Why? What have we done to you? Huh? Oh, you guys, stop.
Please, I'm begging you. Actually, I'm not. I'm demanding that you do better.
Let's stop. Please. And if you don't know something, just shh.
Yes.
Just
it's
don't
free
speak
to
on
be
it.
Quiet. It doesn't cost any money.
And then we don't see how dumb you are. So just
right? It's better to be quiet and be assumed a fool than to speak and remove all doubt.
Thank you.
Okay, so
right.
Okay, so wrapping up and jumping into the last bit here, we have the what the F. And so my what the F, and we've been talking today.
I know.
My what the F goes out to you Naturalista Nazis. And I'm going to have to keep it quick, and I'm sad because I was going to go in on y'all, but
right.
Okay. So, a Naturalista Nazi is a woman who, during the wave of, going natural, joined the bandwagon for fans, more or less, because it was popular to do so. And has now decided, because she found the quote-unquote courage to cut her hair off or to stop perming her hair, she's now woke she's Gaia, she's Mother Earth, she's Asasiya.
Is she condemning all the others?
And everybody who is still, on the creamy crack or has the perm is bound by self-hatred and needs to emancipate themselves from mental slavery and all this. I'm like, sweetie, can you just be quiet?
Yeah.
First of all, listen, some of us out here, and I say this as somebody who has natural hair right now. Eddie has natural hair. So don't think that, I'm bound. I'm here like, loving my oppressor or whatever.
Yeah. He's loving my oppressor.
You are just doing too much. I mean,
leave people be. Let them do what they want. It doesn't affect you.
Perhaps there are some people who really have an issue where they've been, mentally, how do I call it, brainwashed or whatever into believing that having kinky hair is ugly or whatever. But sis, for a lot of us, having had natural hair now, it's a matter of convenience. The amount of work it takes to maintain natural hair, okay, that alone, I'm one of those people that everything I do with my hair is a matter of convenience. I don't like hair. I don't like spending time on hair, nothing like that. When I had a perm, it went up in a ponytail and that's it. Simple and tatia. You just put it up, go about your day.
When I had a perm, it was burning my scalp. It was so bad.
And that is the other thing. Yeah. So for some people, it is the fact that, the perm was affecting their scalp or whatever it is. But all this spiritual and this journey of empowerment and all that, you just cut your hair. It's not that deep. Exactly. And it will never be that deep. And stop going around hating on women who are still perming their hair. I mean, are you correct? Come on. And then if it's not that they're mental slaves, it's that their hair is damaged. I'm like, look, for most of you, the reason your hair was damaged when it was permed is because you maltreated it and you had it fried, dyed, and laid to the side, as they say. Okay? You go and when they put the relaxer in, they don't you and they put it on the roots only. You're like, no, pull it through the whole hair. The entire hair. Okay? Yeah. When they say it's 10 minutes, no, leave it in a bit longer so I won't sweat it out. Okay? And you weren't there using mineral-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free cleanser. I only put edible foods in my hair kind of vibe. If you had done that with your permed hair, it would be luscious and juicy. Exactly. Okay? Exactly. Contrarily, if you don't look after your natural hair, it will turn into something you won't want to see.
Dry and start breaking off.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I know how that's like.
Can we do away with this dichotomy of perming equals you are a slave to colonialism or whatever. It's really never that deep. You cannot look at somebody's hair and determine everything about them and who they are and what they believe in.
Let people do what they want to do with their. It's like, mind your business.
Just mind your business.
If you want to keep natural hair, keep natural. If somebody else wants to fry their hair, let them do it. Like, what's the issue? So
that's my two pep. Can you quit your Nazism? It's not that serious. Thank you.
So my two pesos. I think in the beginning, I think you said what the F.
No, my what the F was... Okay, well, if I did,
I think
my what the F was the anklet issue, and this is my two pesos. Yes.
So my two pesos is on the subject of, well, what would you do if you died today? Sort of. So I had a procedure on Monday, and I had to undergo, like I went under full anesthesia. Exactly. And a week prior to that, I told my colleague that, you know what, if I don't come back, I'm going to come back and haunt you. I know that's a weird kind of joke to be making, but, So on the day of the surgery, just before I went into anesthesia, I just thought to myself, so if I don't come back, if I actually die today, what will people say about me? Then I said, you know what people will say about me is actually not that relevant. But what would I be happy with the things I've done? Would I have done all the things that I wanted to do? So just before I went in, I quickly texted my boyfriend, if something happens to you, please know that I love you. All the mushy stuff. So I turned it off. Obviously, I'm still alive, as you can hear.
Yay.
And so it just made me think, right? Like, there are lots of things that we want to do. I know you've got projects that you've always wanted to do. I've had projects that I've always wanted to do. But somehow we get so caught up with life, with making money, with family and things, that we never do those other little things that bring us some joy. So my 2 pesos is just that we only have one life to live. We're all going to die. None of us is invincible. Everybody's going to die.
And it might not be when you think it will be either.
Exactly. So when you do get a little time, or you get a little space, just do those little things that you wanted to do, those little things that bring you joy. Just do them, and I think you would have lived a fulfilled life. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for that. That's a lovely note to sign off on. Okay, thanks for listening again. And please, this will be the share and like mantra.
Yes, please share.
And a lot of you are really holding us down on that front, and we appreciate it. But please, if you're listening on iTunes, you can star rate the show. If you're listening on Stitcher, same thing. Anywhere you're listening, whether it's YouTube or whatever, you can thumbs it up, whatever.
Subscribe, share.
Please subscribe, and let us hear from you. A lot of you have been saying, can you suggest topics for 2 pesos? Absolutely.
Yes, you
Please
can.
Let
We'd love
us
to
know.
talk about that.
And if you have thoughts on anything you've heard today or any show previous. All right.
We wanted to shout out. Let's shout out Phil. Phil is so...
Phil, man. Okay, shout out to you. He's a real one.
Man, he's such a real one. Supporter. Like, we can't even say thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
You're
awesome.
All right, then.
Take
care.
Bye.
If you enjoyed the episode and you're listening to us on any of our platforms, please give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, and we'd also love for you to share this episode with your friends. Let's continue the conversation. We'd like to hear your feedback. Information on how to reach us on our website can be found in the description.